Every morning, 3 billion people wake up, drag themselves to a job they do not love to earn money. They spend on things that do not make them happy to impress people they do not like. And somewhere along the way, we decided this was just life. Today, we are going to question everything about that system and ask whether there is actually a better way. Welcome back to No Filter. I am Adam. Today, we are having a debate that every working person needs to hear. Is the traditional 9-to-5 job actually dead? Is the future freelance remote entrepreneurial? Or is stable employment still the safest path? My guest is Dr. Priya Sharma, future of work researcher, economist, and author of the book Working Different. Dr. Priya, welcome to No Filter.
P1, Adam, thank you for having me. This conversation is important because work is not just how we earn money. It is how we find meaning, identity, and purpose. And right now, the system is failing millions of people. Not because they are lazy, because the system was built for a different world.
Priya, I want to start with the big debate. Is the 9-to-5 job finished, or is everyone who says that just a privileged entrepreneur who forgot what job security feels like? A4.
P2, traditional employment is fragmenting fast. High-skilled workers are leaving institutions for independence. Low-skilled workers are being pushed into gig contracts with no security. And technology is eliminating the middle. The employment ladder still exists, but its rungs are disappearing one by one.
Both sides of that argument have real merit. And that tension is exactly where the truth lives.
P3, companies demanding office returns are not doing it for productivity. The research is clear on that. They are doing it for control. Managers who cannot measure output measure presence instead. And forcing people back into long commutes is destroying the very energy and creativity they claim to want back.
Give me your honest position. Is traditional employment dying? A6. It is not dying.
P4. This is not young people being entitled. This is young people watching their parents sacrifice everything for companies that laid them off anyway. They made a rational decision. Institutions will not protect you. Your skills, your health, and your relationships are your real assets. That is not laziness. That is logic.
It's not dying. It is fragmenting. The one job for life model is gone. What is replacing it is messier, more complex, and genuinely more dangerous for people who are not prepared for it.
Google's research found that psychological safety was the #1 predictor of team performance. Not talent, not resources, safety. The ability to speak up, disagree, and make mistakes without punishment. Most organizations destroy psychological safety every day through blame cultures and performative leadership. Then they wonder why innovation does not happen.
More dangerous. That is not what the hustle culture influencers are saying.
Gig work looks like freedom, but the math tells a different story. When you account for fuel, depreciation, waiting time, and zero benefits, most gig workers earn below minimum wage. The platform takes the profit. The worker takes the risk. They just renamed exploitation and called it entrepreneurship.
Hustle culture is selling a highlight reel. I study the data. The data shows that for every person who escapes the 9-to-5 and thrives, there are 10 who escape it and struggle in ways they never anticipated. Financial instability, social isolation, loss of identity, benefits, healthcare, pension. Nobody talks about what you actually lose when you leave.
The entrepreneurship dream is being sold by people who profit from selling it. Courses, coaching, masterclasses. The real statistic nobody puts on their poster is that 90% of startups fail within 5 years. Entrepreneurship is real and valid, but it is not for everyone, and pretending it is causes real harm.
Nobody talks about what you lose, because it does not make a good Instagram post.
The creator economy follows a brutal power law. Top 3% of creators earn 90% of the money. The rest are working full-time creating content for platforms that profit from their work while paying them almost nothing. Most people would earn more per hour at minimum wage than from their YouTube channel. The math is brutal. P8.
What is actually killing the traditional job? Give me the real forces. A11.
The 4-day work week is not radical anymore. The evidence is overwhelming. Revenue went up. Sick days fell 65%. Staff turnover fell 57%. Almost every company that tried it made it permanent. The resistance is not logical, it is cultural. We just believe suffering equals productivity, and the data says otherwise.
11. Three forces simultaneously. AI and automation eliminating entire job categories from the bottom up. Globalization allowing companies to source labor from anywhere in the world, which suppresses wages everywhere. And a generational shift in values where younger workers are explicitly refusing to prioritize institutional loyalty over personal freedom and meaning.
AI displacement is already happening. It is not a future warning. Mid-skill knowledge workers, accountants, analysts, paralegals, junior programmers are the most at risk right now, not low-skill workers as people assume. The people who thought they were safe because they went to university are finding out they were wrong. The skills that AI cannot replace share one thing in common. They require genuine human judgment in complex, unpredictable situations. Emotional intelligence, creative synthesis, leadership under pressure, real communication. These are hard to automate. Everything else is increasingly at risk. Invest in the human layer above everything else.
12 AI automation and a generation that refuses to be loyal to institutions that were never loyal to them. That combination is genuinely explosive.
South Asian talent has a real opportunity right now that did not exist before. Remote work removed the geographic barriers. A skilled developer in Lahore can earn San Francisco rates today. A designer in Karachi can serve global clients from a laptop. The opportunity is real, but it requires building skills that global clients actually want.
Let us talk about remote work, because COVID changed everything and now companies are trying to drag people back to offices. Who is winning that battle?
The portfolio career is not idealistic. It is protective. Your employer has obligations to shareholders, not to you. When the economy shifts, your job gets cut regardless of your loyalty or performance. Having multiple income streams means no single boardroom decision can destroy your financial life. It takes more effort. It gives much more security.
The data is clear and companies do not like it. Remote workers are on average more productive. Their output quality is higher. Their reported well-being is significantly better. Companies demanding full-time office return are doing it for cultural control reasons, not productivity reasons. And the workers who have experienced remote work and are being forced back are the most likely to quit.
Workplace mental health costs companies $1 trillion a year globally, according to the WHO. That is not a feelings problem. That is an economic catastrophe. Flexible work, mental health support, and manageable workloads are not welfare spending. They are investments that pay back more than almost any other organizational intervention.
15 companies are forcing office returns for control, not productivity. That is a bold statement, and if it is backed by data, it is genuinely important.
Workers want three things above everything else right now: meaningful work, genuine flexibility, and to be treated like human beings, not productivity units. Companies that provide these things keep their best people. Companies that do not keep losing them to the ones that do. The talent competition has already started, and most organizations do not know they are losing.
What does the research show about what workers actually want now versus what they wanted 10 years ago?
Universities are producing graduates for a job market that no longer exists. The curriculum was designed for a stable industrial economy. In 2026, knowledge is free. What employers actually need is adaptive thinking, collaboration, comfort with uncertainty, and the ability to work with AI. Almost none of that is taught in a traditional degree program.
10 years ago, the top workplace priorities were salary, job security, and career advancement. Today, across every major workforce survey, the top three are flexibility, meaning, and mental health support. The workforce did not just change jobs, it changed values. And the organizations still operating on the old value system are hemorrhaging their best people to the ones that understand the new one.
The always-on culture is unpaid labor, and we normalized it completely. When your boss emails at 11 p.m. and you feel you must respond, that is work you are not being paid for. Research shows that just the anticipation of after-hours messages raises cortisol and disrupts sleep. Technology made work flexible. It also made work omnipresent.
Used to be number one. Now flexibility and meaning are number one. That is a complete reversal in 1 decade.
Intergenerational wealth is now the biggest predictor of career success. More than talent, more than effort, more than education. Young people who can afford unpaid internships, career risks, and periods of low income while building skills have dramatically better outcomes. We call it meritocracy. The data calls it something else.
In the gig economy. Because Uber drivers, Deliveroo riders, freelancers, they have freedom, but they also have no security, no benefits, no pension. Is that freedom, or is it exploitation rebranded?
76% of workers experience burnout at least sometimes, according to Gallup. 28% feel burned out always or very often. Healthcare, education, and technology workers are the worst affected. These are the people society most depends on, and we are burning them out in the name of productivity, while burned out workers are measurably less productive. The math does not work.
It is both simultaneously, and the proportion depends entirely on who you are. For a software engineer with in-demand skills, the gig economy is genuine freedom. High income, no boss, multiple clients, real autonomy. For a delivery driver with few alternative options, it is exploitation with an app interface. The gig economy did not create a new world of work. It created a new world of work for people who were already privileged, and a new form of insecurity for people who were already vulnerable.
The pension crisis for young workers is real, and almost nobody is talking about it. Defined benefit pensions are gone. Gig workers have no employer contributions. Life expectancy keeps rising. The mathematical reality is that traditional retirement at 65 is simply not affordable for most young people today without changes to savings rates that current wages cannot support.
The gig economy is freedom for the skilled and exploitation for the vulnerable. That distinction is almost never made in the mainstream conversation about it.
Economic opportunity is dangerously concentrated in a handful of global cities. The best jobs, the best networks, the best companies are all in London, New York, Singapore, Dubai. Remote work was starting to break that concentration. Office return mandates are trying to reimpose it. This battle will define economic geography for the next generation.
Entrepreneurship. Because everyone is being told to start a business, build a brand, be your own boss. Is that realistic advice for most people?
Workplace discrimination is not a historical problem. It is happening right now in millions of hiring decisions every year. Studies with identical CVs and different names show consistent discrimination based on ethnicity, gender, and age. The economic cost in misallocated talent is enormous. The human cost to individuals is compounded by how impossible it is to prove in any single case.
Statistically, no. Approximately 90% of startups fail within the first 5 years. Most small businesses never grow beyond subsistence level for their owner. Entrepreneurship as a mass movement is a fantasy sold primarily by people who either got very lucky or are making their money selling entrepreneurship advice rather than by being entrepreneurs. The people for whom entrepreneurship genuinely makes sense are a specific personality type with specific skills, specific risk tolerance, and often specific financial safety nets. That is not most people.
The skills gap narrative is largely a wage problem in disguise. Employers claiming they cannot find skilled workers are simultaneously refusing to raise wages. In a real skills shortage, wages go up as employers compete for scarce talent. When wages stay flat, the shortage is of workers willing to accept current pay, not workers with current skills.
90% of startups fail. The entrepreneurship industrial complex does not put that number on its posters.
Meaningful work is not a luxury preference of privileged workers. It drives productivity, quality, and retention in ways that have direct financial impact. Workers who find their work meaningful are significantly more productive, show lower absenteeism, and are far less likely to leave. Organizations treating meaning as optional are leaving measurable performance on the table every single day.
What about the creator economy? YouTube, TikTok, newsletters, podcasts. Is that a real career path or a lottery ticket?
Middle management is being automated from below. The coordination, information relay, and output monitoring functions that traditional managers perform are increasingly handled by AI systems. What genuinely requires human judgment is developing people, navigating conflict, building safety, and inspiring. What genuinely requires human judgment is developing people, navigating conflict, building safety, and inspiring discretionary effort. Organizations restructuring around this reality will have a significant competitive advantage.
For the top 1% of creators, it is extraordinary wealth and freedom. For the next 9%, it is a livable income with significant hustle. For the bottom 90%, it is an expensive hobby that generates almost no income despite enormous time investment. The creator economy follows exactly the same power law distribution as every other winner-take-most market. The platforms profit from the work of all creators, but only pay meaningfully for the work of the few at the top. Most people would earn more money per hour at a minimum wage job than they earn from their content creation. The math is brutal and almost nobody does it.
The childcare crisis is an economic policy failure disguised as a family issue. When childcare costs consume 30 to 50% of a second earner's salary, workforce participation becomes economically irrational for many families. Countries that invested in affordable universal childcare show higher GDP growth, higher female participation, and better child outcomes. The math is not complicated. The political will is absent.
The creator economy is a lottery that everyone is convinced they will win, and the platforms profit from everyone playing regardless of who wins.
Minimum wage research has overturned the traditional economic prediction. Moderate increases do not produce the unemployment models predicted. In many cases, they produce small positive employment effects as increased worker spending supports local economies. The debate is no longer primarily empirical. It is ideological, and the ideology is not supported by the evidence.
Because more and more companies are trying it, and the results are apparently extraordinary. Is this the future?
Union organizing is experiencing a genuine renaissance. Amazon workers, Starbucks baristas, graduate students. These are not the traditional union demographics. The driving force is the same as always. Workers experiencing conditions they cannot improve individually, seeking collective power. The new economy created new forms of exploitation. Workers are finding new forms of organization in response.
The evidence is among the strongest in workplace research. The largest trial to date, conducted in the UK with 61 companies across multiple sectors, found that after 6 months on a 4-day week with no reduction in pay revenue, did not decline. It increased by an average of 35%. Employee well-being improved dramatically. Sick days fell by 65%. Staff turnover fell by 57%. Almost every company that completed the trial made the policy permanent. The 4-day week is not a gift to workers. It is a productivity intervention that benefits the organization as much as the individual. The resistance to it is cultural, not empirical.
Companies with genuine environmental and social commitments attract and retain talent at lower cost than those without. Younger workers with in-demand skills chose employers whose values align with their own. This is not altruism driving the market. It is the labor market signaling what it values. Organizations that ignore this signal are paying a recruiting premium they do not need to pay.
35% with a 4-day week. Sick days fell 65%. And companies still resist it. That resistance is pure culture, not logic.
Alternative credentials are genuinely disrupting traditional university degrees in technical fields. Boot camps, online courses, certifications, and demonstrated portfolios are increasingly accepted by employers. What has not been disrupted is the network effect of elite universities and the credential signaling in certain sectors. The university is not dying, but its monopoly on knowledge transfer is gone.
What is AI actually going to do to jobs? Give me the honest version, not the reassuring one.
Immigration restriction is an economic self-harm strategy that compounds over decades. Developed economies with aging populations and declining birth rates cannot sustain growth without importing talent. Countries that allow nativist politics to restrict immigration are making a long-term economic choice that will become increasingly costly as demographic pressures intensify.
The honest version is that nobody knows with precision, but the scale will be significant, and the timeline is faster than most governments are preparing for. McKinsey estimates that between 400 and 800 million jobs globally could be displaced by automation by 2030. Not all of those jobs disappear, many transform. But the transformation requires skills that take years to develop and training systems that most countries do not yet have. The people most at risk are not low-skill workers, as is commonly assumed. They are mid-skill knowledge workers, accountants, analysts, paralegals, junior programmers, customer service professionals, whose work is repetitive enough to automate but skilled enough that they never anticipated automation as a threat.
Open plan offices were introduced for cost savings and sold as collaboration tools. The research on them is consistently negative. They reduce collaboration because workers use headphones to block noise. They increase sick leave through disease transmission. And they damage cognitive performance on complex tasks requiring sustained focus. Most organizations know this and keep them anyway.
Mid-skill knowledge workers are the most at risk. The people who went to university got good jobs and thought they were safe. They are not.
Annual performance reviews are one of the most thoroughly discredited management practices still in widespread use. They are poor predictors of performance, they introduce significant bias, they damage psychological safety. Organizations that replace them with continuous feedback and regular development conversations consistently outperform those that maintain traditional review cycles.
What should a 25-year-old decide about their career right now, given everything you are saying?
Work-life integration is the honest version of work-life balance. The boundary between work and personal life is not binary anymore. What matters is genuine flexibility and quality of presence in both domains. Organizations that use integration language to normalize always-on availability are not offering integration. They are offering exploitation with better branding.
3 principles that I believe hold regardless of how the specific landscape changes. First, develop skills that are genuinely difficult to automate. Human judgment in complex novel situations, emotional intelligence, creative synthesis, leadership, communication. These are hard to replicate with current AI. Second, never have only one income stream. One salary from one employer is the most financially fragile position a person can occupy in 2026. Third, optimize for learning rate, not current salary. The 25-year-old who learns fastest will outperform the one who earns most in the short term. In a rapidly changing landscape, adaptability is worth more than any specific skill.
Diverse teams outperform homogeneous teams on innovation, risk assessment, and complex problem solving. McKinsey found companies in the top quartile for gender diversity are 25% more likely to achieve above-average profitability. For ethnic diversity, the differential is 36%. Hiring for diversity is not charity. It is competitive strategy backed by consistent evidence.
Optimize for learning rate, not current salary. That is the career advice nobody gives, but everyone should hear.
The security argument for office mandates does not survive honest scrutiny for most knowledge workers. Home networks have risks, but offices have physical security vulnerabilities that remote environments do not. The net security case for mandatory attendance is weak. It is a technically plausible justification for a decision made on other grounds entirely.
Pakistan, India, South Asia. The job market there is specific. What does this all mean for young people in those countries?
Entrepreneurship in developing economies requires business model innovation adapted to local constraints. Access to capital is severely limited. Infrastructure is unreliable. Market purchasing power restricts addressable markets. Simply importing Silicon Valley playbooks into fundamentally different operating environments does not work. Successful entrepreneurs in these contexts solve local problems with local knowledge in ways that global models cannot.
South Asia faces a uniquely challenging version of this transition. Youth unemployment in Pakistan and India is already structurally high. The jobs being created in these economies are often low-wage service sector roles without security or progression. Meanwhile, the same automation wave hitting Western economies is beginning to arrive, and will arrive faster than the policy infrastructure can respond to. The specific opportunity, and it is real, is in the global remote economy. A skilled developer, designer, writer, or analyst in Karachi or Lahore can now compete for global clients at global rates, using only a laptop and internet connection. That opportunity did not exist 15 years ago. It exists now. And the young people who identify it early and build accordingly will be the ones who benefit most.
Employee-owned businesses show consistently positive outcomes: higher productivity, greater resilience during downturns, lower turnover, more equitable wages. They face real challenges in governance and growth capital. But as inequality grows and corporate and worker interests diverge more sharply, alternative ownership models are attracting serious attention from economists and workers alike.
Remote work has created a genuine escape hatch from a constrained local job market for people in developing countries. That is one of the most genuinely hopeful things in this whole conversation.
Women do not leave high-pressure careers primarily for family reasons, as is commonly assumed. Research shows the primary drivers are lack of advancement opportunity, hostile workplace cultures, and absence of senior sponsorship. Organizations that retain talented women invest in sponsorship programs, rigorous bias training, and cultures where advocacy for women is visible, leadership behavior, not just HR policy.
What does the ideal work life look like in 2030? Give me your honest vision.
Organizational culture is what actually happens when no one is watching, not the values posters, not the mission statement, what gets rewarded and what gets punished in practice. The leader who says they value balance and emails at midnight is communicating the real culture. Changing culture means changing what actually gets people promoted and what gets people fired. Nothing else moves the needle.
I believe the people who will thrive in 2030 are those who have built what I call a portfolio career. Multiple overlapping income streams combining employed work, freelance work, digital assets, and community contribution. Not because the portfolio career is inherently better than stable employment. It is not for everyone. But because the stability that traditional employment once provided is genuinely declining. The portfolio career provides resilience rather than stability. You can lose one income stream and not lose everything. That resilience in an uncertain economy is worth more than any single salary, no matter how attractive.
The purpose and contribution dimension of work is consistently underweighted in economic models. Most people, given the option to stop working entirely, choose not to. They want to contribute to something meaningful on terms that respect their humanity. The future of work building is one where those conditions are normal, not the privilege of a fortunate few.
Portfolio career for resilience rather than stability. Because stability itself is becoming a promise that employers can no longer keep.
Remote work best practice requires fundamental redesign, not just digital tools. The organizations thriving in distributed environments shifted from synchronous to asynchronous communication for most information exchange. They invested heavily in documentation. They redesigned in-person time to focus on relationship building and creative synthesis. Technology enables this, but it requires deliberate organizational design to make it work.
Mental health and work. Because the modern workplace is producing a mental health crisis of its own, independently of everything else.
Commercial real estate is being permanently transformed by remote work. Office vacancy rates in major cities are at historic highs. The surplus space creates opportunities to address housing shortages through conversion. But it also threatens city tax bases and permanently destroys demand for office-adjacent businesses. Remote work is not just changing how people work, it is reshaping the physical and economic geography of cities.
Work-related stress is now the leading occupational health problem in most developed economies. More sick days lost, more disability claims, more long-term absence than any other category of workplace illness. The always-on culture enabled by smartphones has effectively eliminated the boundary between work time and personal time for hundreds of millions of people. The result is a workforce that is chronically stressed, chronically fatigued, and chronically resentful, but unable to disengage because the technology that connects them to their work is the same technology that connects them to everything else they value. This is not a productivity strategy. It is a path to systemic workforce collapse.
The always-on digital workplace has created a new form of poverty that does not show up in income statistics. Time poverty. The feeling of having no moment that is genuinely free from work accessibility. Research shows time poverty is as damaging to well-being as financial poverty, and in some studies, more so. The organization that gives back genuine uncontactable time to its workers is giving back something more valuable than most pay increases. My book is Working Different, available everywhere. My website is drpriyasharma.com with a free career resilience assessment. And I want to leave with one thing. The world of work is changing, whether you are ready or not. The question is whether that change happens to you or because of you. Start building today. One skill, one income stream, one honest look at where you are. That is enough to begin.
Everyone go follow Dr. Priya Sharma right now. Get the book Working Different. And listen, if you are sitting in a job that is draining your soul right now, this episode was not telling you to quit tomorrow. It was telling you to start building today. One skill, one side income, one new thing. Start today. I am Adam. This is No Filter, episode 122. See you next week.